Hi. In this video on retirement, I'd like to talk a little bit about how things have changed over the years and why in retirement things can become quite strained in a marriage, for example, living with a partner. When my wife and I married, way back in 1960, things were very different indeed. It was taken for granted that the wife would stay at home, be the homemaker, look after the children, look after the home, do the shopping and this sort of thing, whilst the man would go out and earn a living. This was the norm. My wife was just a factory worker, and when we married, she had no particular skills other than being a machinist at her place of work. And in all of our 63 years of marriage, she never gained paid employment. This was understood, and this was commonplace across many marriages, probably between way back in the 1910s, 30s, 40s, right through to about 1970, when a lot of women decided, I've got to go out to work because one income coming in is not enough. And then things changed drastically. But to get back to when my wife and I married, we raised 3 children. And since that time, they've had children, and even one of those children has had children. I had a child anyway. So we're great-grandparents now. But to get back, when the man goes out to work, most of the time, as I did, and I was on shift work, and often did maybe over 100 hours, maybe 112 hours a fortnight, I wasn't home that much. I spent a lot of time outside of the home. And this is the case with a lot of men, spending a lot of time away from the home. But when we take retirement, if our wife's already a housewife at home or if she retires, suddenly we are thrust together full time. Now, the habitual thing is, if you've always been going out to work, perhaps looking after the garden and the outside of the home, whilst the wife has always looked after the inside of the home, the shopping, etc., things suddenly become quite different. Suddenly, you, as a man, are retired with very little to do, whereas the wife feels put upon. Now that you're finished work, you should share the housework, half the housework. And this is what has happened in our marriage, my wife and I, Rita and I. But it didn't just come about suddenly. It evolved. And this is what needs to happen. You've got to remember, when you're retired, you expect to look after half of the chores at least. Don't leave it all to the missus. Don't leave it all to the wife. Otherwise she will become very resentful. In our marriage, of course, things got to the stage, and these are the stage we've reached now, where we do our own shopping, even though we shop together. We shop for the things we individually want. Quite often we do our own cooking, even though we're doing the cooking at the same time, cooking perhaps different things. We do our own ironing, our own washing. We look after ourselves. We're independent, though living together. And this is something that has evolved. And I think it needs to evolve, because it needs to be fair. It needs to be seen as fairness. Each person in that relationship maintaining their half, their 50% of keeping everything going. I know this is a bit of a off the norm when you're talking about retirement, but my wife and I, well, I've been retired for 28 years. 28 years. From 59 years of age to the age I'm now, 87. My wife and I are still together. Of course, we bicker, we have the little arguments and so forth, but nothing really serious. I think every marriage couple has their little arguments, little ego trips. That's to be expected. But if you share your life, and if you know you're doing the right thing, both of you, I think you can certainly get on well and have a long, happy retirement together. And after all, as a married couple, surely that's what we want.